big welcome to you as we move into Series 2 of Experience Living Purposefully into Your Very Own Story. Series 2 has 11 experiences, and each one of these deals with some aspect of how our very own stories interweave. And the particular aspect that Experience 19 is present to is of harnessing inner energies to unlock wisdom. In this image, I sense whispers of deserts and oceans being swirled into the vortex, a presence of light and dark within the general energetic movement of colours swirling inwards, power in the energetic movement, and a sense of purposefulness. Let us pause. Sit comfortably on your chair and let your breathing deepen and slow down. When the time is right for you, let this image reveal something of more than energies in action in your life and living. Gently rest in what arises. When the time is right for you, let your energy return to room level. There's time now for you to speak a word or comment that arises if you wish. Now, we all have times in our life and living that we could describe as being like the aridity and sparseness of desert, and other times where we could describe it as the vast, expansive possibility of depth and encompassing reality of ocean. There are also other times that we could describe as full of experiences of lightness, and yet others full of experiences of darkness. And there would be yet other times when we've sensed energies greater than ourselves, inviting us, drawing us onward. And in all of those experiences and others, we all have a yearning for purposefulness. Now, these universal aspects of life, all of the ones that I just named, are picked up through the plot in stories, and especially so in fairy tales. And a fairy tale is a form of story teaching about patterns of the process of becoming a hero or a heroine. And there's a desire in all of us that is an inner energy form of purposefulness. Fairy tales present many flavours of the inner journeying pattern of becoming a hero or a heroine. And they're really teaching about the universality of this inner energy form of purposefulness. Now, I call these inner energy forms of purposefulness in each of us epic journeying cycles. And these cycles are repeated many times in all of our lives with many different flavours. Let's stay with epic journeying cycle meaning. The dictionary meaning of epic: narrating heroic deeds of tradition and history. Inner journeying: how our very own stories interweave, the theme of this second series. Cycles: very short to very long and everything in between, repeated patterns. One fairy tale, the never-ending story, names human experience patterns well. In this universal pattern of repeating experience, the first step is coming to know the invitation to move differently from previous pattern responses. In short, a call beyond our knowing and experience. And as I go through each of the 6 steps that I'm going to name, I will be referring to this first section, or whichever section is up, and this one, a call beyond our knowing and experience, by picking out how that was in the stories of Series 1 and Series 2. A call beyond our knowing and experience. In Series 1 stories. For me, on the days I don't go out, a noticeable depletion of energy. In the Don't Be Stressed story, tingles and clangs caught my inner attention. In the Killer Whale story, a tingle with a question, an inner question. Who am I? In the Series 2 stories, the 10-year-old story, clang, this solution won't work. In the 30-year-old story, clang, there's something here which is annoying my principal. 44-year-old story, the dream pointers had a clue to the way forward. To play, to leave other people free, and to ask for help. And in the 71-year-old story, a tingle that jumped into awareness after 10 years. The second step, setting out. In the Series 1 stories, in the days I don't go out, I decided for the outer world stance and made the appointment. In the Don't Be Stressed story, I stayed with the tingles and clangs. In the Killer Whale story, that lady stayed with the caricatures are in my imagination. In the Series 2 stories, the 10-year-old clang and went next door. The 30-year-old story stayed with the clang. There's something out of balance here. 44-year-old story, allowing the dream pointers to reveal the invitations. And in the 71-year-old story, embraced the truth of the tingle. The third facet of epic journeying cycles is there will be struggles when you start off on a new pattern. And we'll name the struggles in these stories for Series 1 and Series 2. Days I don't go out, the struggle. Will I go with work or will I go with my desire for personal space? The Don't Be Stressed story. What was said didn't resonate. And then you can't afford to be stressed. Shock. Killer Whale story. The down-putting energy, I'm not good enough. Being to paralysis at times. Series 2, 10-year-old story. The fear was to a depth of denial that was a defense mechanism. The 30-year-old story, shocked by the unexpected and atypical reaction of my principal. 44-year-old story, the dream symbols had challenging pointers. It's really something to play after 44 years. It's really something to ask for help, and you haven't done it for 34 years. The 71-year-old story, an unconscious pining for authority approval. So the struggle wasn't actually in high conscious, at subliminal conscious. And there's always help along the way. Sometimes we don't recognise it. In the Series 1 stories, what helped there was that I had a pattern of choosing work over personal preferences. In the Don't Be Stressed story, I thought it was a joke, which I told to several times during the day, and then the story continued within me. In the Killer Whale story, someone else put up a computer collage, and then the putting down phrases could be in the whale's mouth. So that was help to get it out of the unconscious and to put it out there to be faced. In the Series 2 stories, in the 10-year-old story, the adults took over solving the problem. In the 30-year-old story, I was catapulted into an ability to see the bigger picture for me personally. In the 44-year-old story, the director on that retreat was able to help me to unpack the symbol, pointer, and invitation of the dream. And in the 71-year-old story, an inner wisdom arising. The fifth point is, in all of our stories of growth, something is left behind. For days I don't go out. Potentially, my preference for a day for myself. In the Don't Be Stressed story, fear was holding the upper hand. In the Killer Whale story, a repeated survival strategy response, I'm not good enough, many times in life. Series 2 stories, 10-year-old. What was left behind? Not playing and not asking for help. 30-year-old story, filtering the unpleasant out of life got to be left behind, somewhat. 44-year-old story, what got left behind there was that I was the only one who was responsible. And another thing that got left behind was that I was not alone. In the 71-year-old story, a pining for outer authority approval got left behind. And lastly, there's something new that comes to birth. The Series 1 stories, Days I Don't Go Out. There was a deeper enjoyment of my personal space. Don't Be Stressed story, the outcome. I came to a more balanced lifestyle. In the Killer Whale story, a new understanding of the meaning of life. The old pattern of I'm not good enough, replaced by all I have to do is show up. The 10-year-old story. What came to birth was a deep sense of being able to solve problems. In the 30-year-old story, there was an integration of the two sides of life, pleasant and not so pleasant. That is a reality for all of us. 44-year-old story. I learned the meaning of play and the fun of play and the benefit of asking for help. And in the 71-year-old story, I came to a much deeper appreciation of my own inner personal authority. So back to our diagram. This road, epic journeying cycles, generally have a beginning invitation arising out of pools of pain and inner self-awareness wipeout. Take time now to name the stages of an epic journeying cycle you've experienced, where an older pattern was left behind and a new pattern came to birth. Perhaps speak or write what surfaces. Noel Davis has this beautiful poem in the Heart Waking book of his. Choosing to be vulnerable. We become most vulnerable to life when we dare to jump from the security of where we have settled, and with both feet off the ground, knowing not where our feet will land, we trust the voice in the stillness that's calling us on. Summary. We are all invited to come to balance through living out deeper and more surface epic journeying cycles. Whether we are conscious of them or not, epic journeying cycles of shorter or longer duration stud our life and living. A strategy to increase our awareness of epic journeying cycles. Gift yourself with 7 to 10 minutes at the end of the day, allowing epic journeying stages to reveal themselves. Gently notice and receive what surfaces. Perhaps speak or write new information. The next morning, gift yourself with soaking in and accepting whatever insights surfaced the night before. Has Experience 19 expanded your awareness of when and how to harness inner energies and unlock wisdom? Both are intrinsic possibilities as we come to notice our very own epic journeying cycles. And perhaps speak or write what surfaces. Experience 11 was of layers of feeling reactions in my very own stories that are stored. Experience 12 of how our first pattern of feeling reactions is repeated and becomes a survival strategy to cope with an imperfect world. Experience 13 of how survival strategies impinge on life and living. Experience 14 of inner self-awareness wipeouts in my private self arena that are at first unconscious. Experience 15 of pools of pain. Experience 16 of a third layer of me in my skin. Here, archetypal and dream energy arisings are invitations to inner growth and balance. Experience 17 of a dual patterning of growth, which is basic to the process of being birthed to wholeness and balancing. And experience 18 of awakening to inner self-awareness wipeout. And here in experience 19, we were looking at harnessing inner energies through becoming aware of my very own epic journeying cycles. So, experience engaging intimately with mystery or more than us energy. Experience 20. Thank you so much for listening to that inner urge which led you to experience 19.